Howdy, partners. Welcome to Kyle and Cody's Cult, Cowboy Kyle and Cody's Cult Cinema Cast. I'm Kyle.
Yeah, that's still not happening. Ever. Ever.
Your anger feeds me.
I would make a comment about the fact that this isn't even really classified as a Western. And if you
It is
try and classify this movie as a Western...
The comic this is based off is literally called All-Star Western. And, like, weird Westerns.
So, yeah, that doesn't give it even remotely the opportunity to call itself a Western.
It's set up in the Old West. It's a guy in a cowboy hat. He does bounty hunting. He's a Confederate veteran, which is apparently a rule for cowboy protagonists for some reason. I suppose that's not as common as all it is.
That means they're the bad guys, right? The Confederates were the bad guys, though.
Yeah. Although the heroes in a lot of cowboy movies are Confederates. Like John Wayne. I think there's a movie where John Wayne is just like, I swore one oath in my life, and it was to the Confederate States of America. That's not a good John Wayne accent. Okay. I don't have a good John Wayne accent. I don't think. I haven't developed one.
I don't think you have a good Western accent either.
I mean, that's your opinion, which you're entitled to, but is wrong.
I'm 95% certain that is everybody's opinion.
Nonsense. But yeah, this week we're doing the film Jonah Hex, based on the DC Comics anti-hero called Jonah Hex, from the pages of Jonah Hex, Weird Westerns, and All-Star Western. He's a man who, his iconic feature is that the left side of his face is deformed. No, right side of his face is deformed. And he has, like, in the comics is often portrayed with, it's actually a good bit more graphic than in the movie. It's portrayed as him having, like, a conjoined, like an opening between the edge of his lip and his cheek, where you can see, like, a bit more of his teeth. It's quite graphic sometimes, which... yeah,
I haven't taken a look at that.
I mean, look it up real quick. But, yeah, and that's also weird. In the poster, it's kind of like shadows out the side of his face that's scarred. Now that I'm looking at the poster just now, it's, yeah, they don't even show it. And that's like the iconic thing. The tagline is "Revenge gets ugly." And they don't show the, like, okay, that's not nice language, but the ugly side of his face, which we shouldn't... He has a facial deformity.
At least in the comic books, at least in the comic books, I've never read a single Jonah Hex comic book, but what I'm saying is I'm looking at the comic books right now. At least it gives Jonah Hex a reason behind joining the Confederate Army.
Okay, to be fair,
I don't think this ever does it.
To be fair, the Confederate Army had conscription, so he wouldn't necessarily get a reason. So he might have been conscripted into that army. So, it's not stated whether or not he is, but that's
not
very
according
reasonable
to the
possibility.
comic books.
Not so much with the comic books. I don't know, but it's not stated in here, and it's like a perfectly reasonable justification for why he would be in the army if they wanted to go with it. Because, the Confederacy did use conscription.
He didn't even bring up the, like, in the movie, he's never like, hey, I'm fighting this war to fight this war because I'm a part of it. Not like he never explains his motivation of being in the war in the movies. So maybe he's just secretly a closeted racist.
Well, when he's talking to the gunsmith, he said they do say that he just doesn't like being told what to do, which is how a lot of Confederates see it. But yeah, again, he's...
So you joined the military?
Yeah, I mean, some people do that. Oh, yeah, I suppose that's that. It took me a second to like get where you were going with that. Actually, yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, the military famously, where you don't get told what to do.
That makes absolutely no sense. Yeah.
But yeah, in the movie and in actually more so in the comics, he has more of he it's explicitly stated like he was just in the army because that's where he was from, and that he actually doesn't like slavery because he was a slave in the comics and he didn't care for it. So that was the justification there. But I don't. It's not so much stated in here. It's just stated like, oh, he doesn't like slavery, but he was in the Confederate Army either way. And they're mostly doing it because he has the cool looking long coat, which he has like 10, 15 years after the war is over. I mean, a good thing it still fits, I suppose, but I mean, the guy gets in gunfights. It's probably been torn a few times.
No, obviously this old Confederate general probably knows how to sew.
Well, he's not a general, to be fair. He's just a soldier, but there's a
I
distinction there.
don't really care at this point in time. It's just I can pretty much say anything I want by just justifying it by saying he fought with the racists.
And like he is a comic book character, so he obviously knows how to sew because all comic book characters know how to sew.
And like a comic book of characters stemming clearly from like the early 1970s.
Yeah, he's a bit yeah. Normally Western comics are associated with like a earlier time period, but he's actually from a comic series. He was originated in the 70s. My dad actually read Jonah Hex comics when he was a kid a bit, but yeah, some people don't like this movie. I kind of enjoyed it. It's all right sometimes. It's not as good as I remembered it, but it's not as complete disaster as when I tried revisiting Gangster Squad for the for the podcast. Um, I enjoy this better than that, mostly because it's sillier and more over the top.
Uh Failed at the box office.
Yeah, $47 million budget, made 11 million at the box office. Uh, did I see this in theaters? Did I do my part here? I bought the Blu-ray, so I did that.
Um
I might not have seen this in theater. 2010, I don't have as good like theater stuff, but music's partially by the band Mastodon, which is a metal band from Georgia, formed in 2000. Should have listened to some of their music. I didn't realize that until I put this off. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. Jonah Hex is a period western. He's a bounty hunter who does bounty hunting and generic western adventures. They change a good bit of it from the comics in the movie, which is for the best. Like they completely change. In the comics, he's associated with the Apache people because he was enslaved by them in the comics, and in this, he's associated with the Crow people, which I don't know. I kind of given that they've shifted this. This is a the setting of this movie is weird because it starts out seemingly in the old west, but they spend a lot of time on the east coast. Um, Jonah Hex's horse is basically moving at super speed at all times. I'm certain they go thousands of miles in the course of this. It doesn't make much sense. Because like he goes across the country several times, and it doesn't seem like a lot of time is passing. Which like part of that's just constraint of a 80-minute movie, but yeah. But yeah, his thing in the comics, I don't. It seems like it's maybe not the best informed. Neither is this though. It just doesn't portray the First Nations characters as like evil. which I'd gotta say pretty well
Oh.
applies to the comics. It's very and it's very like Apache are the bad guys in that.
Mhm.
But in this, the Crow they don't get any speaking lines, so it's
I think I figured out one of the giant reasons why
oh,
this failed. It was released on the same day as, Toy Story 3.
I never seen that movie, so I don't. I guess I mean, people say it's good. People
Yeah, but,
like it.
like but it's gonna shroud in comparison to, like, who wants to go watch this, 1970s comic book movie or go take your kids to Toy Story 3?
Yeah, this is a movie for older people. Jonah Hex's fan base is quite old at this point. He doesn't have too many young fans. I tried, but the second I picked up the All Star Western in the 2012s, right during the New 52, and the first issue I read is like, oh, he's going to the future, so he's in modern day now, which is not what you wanted because you wanted to read a Western, not a man at a time book. That's happened to me twice actually, where I've tried to pick up a Western comic and the guy's instantly transported to the modern day, which is something I'm never buying Westerns from Marvel or DC ever again for that reason.
Was it Ghost Rider?
No, Ghost Rider's actually not a Western. It was a short-lived
Depending on where you're reading
it's a it
from.
was the Marvel one was a short-lived series called Red Wolf, which was spun off from 2015's Secret Wars. I don't know how good it was. I read like the first issue and it's like, oh yeah, he's in modern day now, so whatever. I just didn't want to. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted to pay for, so I didn't follow it.
Did they not do, like, a comic book series based on, Sam Elliott's The Caretaker?
They might have. I didn't. I haven't read it.
Okay.
No, the last Western comic I read was actually something called Savage Bastards, which was basically the villain's basically Vandal Savage from DC Comics, but they shaved the serial numbers off. By which I mean they shaved the first name off. And it's like this immortal guy and like his kids have to go kill him and rescue their moms because they're all like half brothers and bastards with an E because I think that's the distinction. Is that a thing? I don't
Mhm.
know. Yeah. But that was a pretty good book. Read Savage Bastards. It's okay. I like it. But yeah, Jonah Hex doesn't have a current comic right now. I don't think he's had anything since All Star Western got canceled several years ago now. Yeah, the audience for this would have been quite old because it'd be like guys who watch westerns, which famously is not like a huge crowd nowadays. Like you can maybe make your money, but you can't. I don't think you can pull like a $50 million budget off them, especially not with like a like the westerns that are good that come out now that make money are like headlined by like really good actors and have a lot of prestige behind them. It's very much if you're releasing a western in 2022, it's gonna be like a prestige piece. It's like got like a really big name behind it. You can't really do like a schlocky thing like this. They've tried it a few times. It kind of fits into that Wild Wild West thing actually, because they try to like throw these ridiculous steampunky things into it, which there's precedent for, but it just doesn't end up working financially at least. And yeah, I guess going against Koi Story, which I guess I just refuse to watch the sequels for personal reasons. But anything else we got to do before we get into the
I'd
plot?
like to point out Robert Ebert's critique on it, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Saying the film is based on some DC characters, which may explain the way the plot jumps around. We hear a lot about graphic novels, but this is more of a graphic anthology of strange occult ideas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's another change from the comics. He doesn't have he historically doesn't have the power to like talk to the dead in the comics. That's just something they made up for this. Like even the him coming back from the dead isn't a thing in the comics either. Because again, he had a with his native his First Nations the First Nation he was associated with was the Apache and he was antagonistic toward him. They were actually the people that gave him his scar with a tomahawk that was burned, like heated up and burned, which they did because he killed the chief's son. I can't remember. I haven't read all this. I looked this up on Wikipedia to get like a idea what the character happened. I've read a little bit of Jonah Hex, but not that much. Which I don't know. Maybe superhero comics aren't the best place to find your westerns. Maybe that's just what the lesson we need to learn from this. Maybe it's a good lesson. I don't know.
I think the better lesson is like maybe just stop doing westerns altogether.
Yeah, that's maybe, yeah.
I have not seen a good western in like a really long time, and
What have you seen? What was the last one you seen that you didn't watch for the show?
I remember I think I was going out to go drinking one night with a friend of mine. Not going to drop names here.
Yeah, probably shouldn't.
And I'm trying very hard not to. And I think he was watching some movie, and it was give me a second.
Oof. This got 2 nominations at the 31st Golden Raspberry Awards. Megan Fox plays the love interest in this. She got nominated for Worst Actress, and Josh Brolin's face and Megan Fox's accent got Worst Couple, which just seems rude. That's just, why'd you have to bring his face into it? He has a facial deformity. It's impolite to like bring it up.
I mean, Josh Brolin notoriously does not have a facial deformity.
I mean, well, in the movie he does.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Hex has one, I should say. Yeah, okay, he didn't. This lost to like, this was the same year that Avatar: The Last Airbender came out. So, or The Last Airbender. I'm sorry, it doesn't have Avatar in the title. Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker won Worst Actress that year. Oh, also Kirsten Davis and Cynthia Nixon. What did? Hold on. Oh, it's they're the cast of Sex in the City. That's what happened. They just nominated all the actresses from Sex in the City 2, Sex in the City 2, and they all got the Worst Actress that year. Oh, and Sex in the City also. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just getting back to you on what you were asking earlier. I think the last Western I've seen was probably The Homesman.
Homesman.
It's directed by Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah.
And apparently it was supposed to be really good, but
it's only got 6.6 on IMDb, but 3 women have been driven mad by pioneer life and are transported across the country in a covered wagon. Okay, that's a thing. Okay. Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones, known to the podcast as Major Chip Hazard from the movie Small Soldiers, the greatest movie of all time.
Have we not done any like other movies with Tommy Lee Jones in it?
I don't think so, actually.
Like, I'm almost positive we have. We've had to have like just.
I mean, we don't always do Hollywood movies, so it's entirely possible that we didn't. But that's what I know him from, because again, it's the greatest movie of all time. That is.
He was in Batman Forever.
I haven't seen Batman Forever.
Also, he played Agent K in the Men in Black.
Yeah. Like, also, yes, those are good movies. 2 of those are good movies. 1 and 3 are good. Men in Black's actually low key one of my favorite movies.
No Country.
I do like that movie.
No Country for Old Men.
Heard of it? Haven't seen it. I think we'll get into this unless we have
Captain America.
What was he in Captain America?
Yeah, he played one of the.
He played an army guy
or something. Like,
he played one of the army guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't remember the first Avenger that well as the third most good Captain America movie. I mean, 3 of 4 on my tier rankings of Captain America movies. It's number 3. I think I've given that ranking on another podcast, so I'll move on to this. The plot of Jonah Hex, starring Josh Brolin, who is now Thanos, and Cable. Deadpool's going to make so many jokes about that. I think he made a joke about that already. Deadpool made a joke about that in Deadpool 2, I think, right? I need to watch it yet. Again. I need to watch Deadpool 2 again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I had to watch it on like a phone because I bought it on iTunes. It was dumb.
If there's like a social hierarchy of Josh Brolin movies, I don't think this would be at the top of it.
I put it above Gangster Squad, to be fair.
Yeah, but
Gangster Squad's pretty bad though.
we put a lot above it.
Yeah. That's another thing. This is that was one of the reasons. One is this is kind of fits our slot of box office bombs that are kind of good that I like to throw in a couple of every once in a while. And also Josh Brolin was in Gangster Squad, which was a bad movie. We did an episode on that. Go listen to it. Just on loop, repeatedly in the background to get us those sweet views. It's on YouTube, right? I think it's on YouTube. Is it on YouTube? It's on YouTube yet. Yeah, it is on youtube.com, right? Currently. You can go watch it. Along with this. Right after or before or during this. I don't just view our YouTube videos as much as possible. Leave like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video here on the Kyle and Cody's called CinemaCast YouTube channel. Yeah, so Jonah Hex opens in a swamp, which we do not see for the rest of the movie. And we're getting a voiceover from Jonah Hex, which is some nonsense about him getting near the other side, talking about some of his backstory, gives us a little bit about his Civil War issues. Essentially, he had to turn on his unit and killed the villain's son, which is why the villain, Confederate Colonel John Turnbull, played by it's not John. John's the son.
Jeb's the
Quentin
son.
Turnbull. Quentin Turnbull is the villain. Yes, because it starts with a Q. That's important. Which leads Quentin Turnbull to come after him sometime after the war. We open and we get to see Jonah being crucified on an X-shaped cross, because that happens sometimes. It's actually pretty common. There's actually, I think I heard somewhere that Jesus would have, like the historical Jesus would have been like crucified on an X-shaped cross, because that's how they would have done it in the Judea or whatever you'd call that region. But in Europe they use the T-shaped cross to crucify people. So that's what became like symbolic of what's it. So I don't know that. I might be talking out of my ass there, but you can crucify someone on an X-shaped cross. Crucifixes can be X-shaped, is my point. Something that certain hack-like X-Men writers have taken advantage of in the past to not great effect. Or no, maybe I'm only thinking of the one instance, though. But yeah, he is strapped to this X-shaped crucifix. Turnbull sets fire to his wife and child. This is not from the comics. In the comics, Quentin Turnbull wasn't involved with Jonah Hex's scar, and Jonah Hex wasn't married before he meets Megan Fox. The character Megan Fox is playing in this. The Apache woman he knows in the comics was just like a crush he had. They may have been in love. I'm not sure, but yeah, he never had a kid with her anyway. So that's just different. And after they set fire to the house with the wife and kid inside, Quentin Turnbull uses a QT cattle brand to scar the side of Jonah's face, which he will later further mutilate with the use of a tomahawk, which has been heated in a fire, which was how they did the burning in the comics. So that's the big difference there. It's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. Certainly brings it more into perspective with what happened I think it's perfectly way more relevant to any of this. I actually don't mind this, or this is again, I don't care much for Jonah Hex's original origin. So I think this is a fine replacement, and no one cares, frankly. But yeah, essentially after that, he nearly dies, but the crow used magic to bring him back to life. Yeah, so that's yeah. This movie doesn't have great. This movie falls for some tropes regarding First Nations people that aren't necessarily helpful. Granted, comic book universe, so magic's real, so that's a thing. But they don't feature in the movie at all. None of them have speaking. None of the crow people have speaking rules, and they're kind of like ludicrously when he meets them later in the movie, they're kind of like he ludicrously goes out of his way to find these people, but we'll get to that later. I don't think we need to go into what's wrong with that more, do we? Or do you think so?
I mean, like, I'm gonna continue to point this out until Hollywood gets the idea that not every Native American person is some mystical shaman that needs to give white people magical powers to write their narrative.
Yep,
But
that's yep, two bad tropes right there. Also, like they have presumably like magic derived from their roots, but it confirms the more Christian notion of hell, which I don't know of any equivalent like certainly nothing maybe you could there's some equivalencies in like Mesoamerican First Nations, but I don't know if like northern like it's certainly nothing as the Crow are actually just pretty south of where we are. They're in their like heritage. Their territory is like in Wyoming, Montana, and a little bit of North Dakota, or Wyoming. Yeah, yeah, Wyoming and Montana is where they're from mostly.
probably not.
Yeah, I don't like I'm not an expert, but I don't recall hearing anything about that. That doesn't seem to
I'm
square with
Cree, so I mean, I don't
yeah,
think that that's nothing in there. So
yeah, like I would have probably yeah, there's not really like an equivalent of it certainly doesn't square with like the area like again, neither of us are Crow, so we don't know, but it just there's some regional similarities with like people we know, and it's just doesn't seem to be a thing. So that's another weird thing. Again, this is something they added for the comics, added for the movie. It wasn't a thing in the comics. So yeah, it's just something that was included because Jonah Hex was associated with some First Nations people in the comics, but they're just kind of like added in here for reasons, but they change how it does. It doesn't make much sense when you get down to it. None of this does. Anyway, but yeah, he goes into being he goes after Turnbull a bit more, and eventually Turnbull essentially apparently dies in a hotel fire. So Jonah Hex just decides to go be a bounty hunter because he's all bitter and didn't get his revenge. This also, by the way, this is just spoilers. Quentin Turnbull survives this hotel fire, so I'm guessing the implication is that he faked his death to get Jonah Hex off his ass, which doesn't put Turnbull on like a particularly high pedestal as like villain tier. Because the second he
mhm.
because after like one bringing back from the dead, Jonah's just able to like kick Turnbull's ass and like is such a threat to Turnbull that he has to fake his own death to just get him away. So yeah, that's not good, really.
Also, like, do you really even? I mean, arguably, like faking your death in the middle in Western times was probably super easy.
Oh yeah, because they don't have like I don't know what dental like the only thing is like also it's burning alive, so the only way you'd be able to do it is like dental records, and I don't know that they could. There, I certainly doubt that Quentin Turnbull has like his dental like press at like a police station somewhere. That's probably not a thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's probably pretty easy. They probably even then, it's probably just like, okay, there's 8 bodies here. There were 8 people in the hotel. Probably means he's dead. So yeah.
And, like, even at that, like, how does Jonah Hex even, like unless Jonah Hex just, like, bumped into him in, like, a city at one point and was like, "Hey, you're still alive. You're not dead." Like,
Oh
there's
yeah.
no, like, telegraphs. This guy's not getting, like, his picture taken and then it getting circulated in, like, a weird newspaper. I don't fully understand what was going on in Western times.
Even then, like it'd have to be like a newspaper that Jonah Hex reads at some point.
I don't think Jonah Hex can read.
I don't know that he can't. To be fair, I don't know. Anyway,
Yes, but
yeah,
you can't prove that he can.
I'm trying to think of him reading in the movie. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, literacy's possible. But yeah, no, he'd have to it's very easy, just like, okay, keep your head down, just don't let him, like, don't do anything, which is probably his plan, to be honest. And presumably what he was doing in the background of all this was just like gathering up some resources and getting like some money so he could do his big revenge plot for the end of the movie. But anyway, we get our first proper scene of the movie where Jonah Hex is dragging 3 bodies by his horse into a desert prospector town. As per Western tradition, all towns look like this. So he drags them in, goes to claim the bounty on them, also hands them the severed head of a 4th guy, because they were going after like 4 guys, and the horse couldn't carry all 4, so
Okay, so Jonah Hex, from what my understanding, is just a dick to animals at this point.
yeah, yeah, and the horse is also, by the way, carrying like 2 Gatling guns. Granted, small Gatling guns, but those are reasonably heavy.
Yeah, but, like, he's like, "Odd, if they were gonna verify somebody's dead just by the fact that, hey, I've got the head of somebody, like, why are you carrying any, like,
Yeah, that's a
3
fair point.
other bodies?"
Does he only have
Like,
one sack?
theoretically, you should just be just decapitating every bounty he ever gets.
Yeah, I guess maybe he only had. Could it? Yeah, could he only have one bag? But I don't know.
Even at that, like, how many, like, heads to bag ratio do you think you'd have?
Also, he's a bounty hunter. He should just
Like,
like
you get one.
he if any, like the bags would be like a tool of his profession. So having like an extra bag would probably be
Yeah,
something that
tax
he'd need.
write-off.
Yeah, tax write off.
I don't know. It's just honestly, at this point in time, I don't think Jonah Hex is a very good bounty hunter.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Another thing about the animal. He doesn't name the horse. Like he just calls it horse. Not that Jonah Hex has an
So he
iconic
just
horse.
this is I'd like to point out that, like, eventually in this movie, I'm pretty sure that horse saves his life. Like,
Oh
you'd think
yeah,
he'd give it
definitely.
a little bit more, like, credit rather than just being like, "I'm gonna make you carry 3 dead bodies, severed head, and 2 Gatling guns, and on top of that, me."
Also, this is a well trained fucking horse because he fires Gatling guns on top of it, and the horse doesn't freak the fuck out. That's actually implies some like pretty decent training on the part of the horse. That horse is almost certainly deaf, by the way, because it's had so many guns go off right next to its head. Like that horse has definitely at least
Yeah,
tinnitus for the rest of its
which is
life.
really stupid because I'm, like, 95% certain that, like, Jonah Hex whispers directions to this horse at one point in time, and it just
True.
follows it. So, can't be that death, but it probably has PTSD out the fucking ass.
Oh, probably. Animals can get PTSD. That's a thing. Yeah, so the guys at the town try not to pay him for the bounty, and they try to kill him to try to claim a bounty that's on Jonah Hex, because bounty hunters can function with bounties on their heads, I guess. So they try to kill him. He unleashes some Gatling guns that are attached to the side of his horse, which is an iconic thing from the trailers, but that he only uses once in the movie because he's allergic to using fancy guns twice. which I swear is just the truth, especially given what we see later in the movie.
It has nothing to do with anything. It's a 0 CGI budget, maybe?
But yeah, he kills all the guys, takes the sheriff's badge and points it on some just random guy, and then takes his bounty
I
and leaves.
I actually like this scene
Yeah, it's all right.
where he pins that badge. That's funny.
It'd be funnier if we got more of this, honestly, but
Also, Gatling gun bullets probably at that time were hella expensive.
well, it's just the sheer quantity too.
Well, like these are like hand cranked.
Yeah, true, and it's like a bag of bullets every time you use
I
it.
think,
So
yeah, but like if hear me out on this. After you're done loading up all of the bullets, you can take that bag and use it to put bounties' heads in.
true. These are facts.
It's like 2 for 1 for any like aspiring Western bounty hunters out there.
Yeah, he never uses these again. So that's another big deal. That's a problem.
Because I think we talked about this actually in our Magnificent Seven.
Oh yeah, review.
Production review where we talked about the use of Gatling guns within Midwestern. Like notoriously, these weren't a thing, and also even if they were a thing, they would be super inaccurate. And even in I think that movie, they were super inaccurate because they started to jam.
True.
And also they were belt fed, so I don't know if these were belt fed or what.
So. I don't think that Gatling guns. I don't know they're belt fed. Hold on. It's a weird thing because this is like the first machine gun, so it works a little differently than what you'd expect.
Which ironically, that movie came out 6 years later. So
yeah, true.
From this,
Wikipedia. Yeah, I think like an old Gatling gun will use like a big fucking clip. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like we got to remember like this is hard to remember because like we do movie things where machine gun fire goes on forever, but machine gun fire in real life doesn't last necessarily that long. Yeah, 58 caliber or like 30 caliber rounds. But yeah, some of them have like clips. This is probably clip fed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is also like these are easily like hundreds of dollars a piece too. So I hope he's paying that gunsmith that we see later in the movie good money. Why that gunsmith isn't making tons of guns for the U.S. military, I don't know.
I probably have a fairly good reason.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he is like a black man trying to sell stuff to the American government in the 1870s. That's probably a decent thing to bring up. You said that, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's a thing.
Racism in 1870 is the real thing.
Yeah, he the gunsmith that Jonah Hex buys fancy guns from is a African American man operating somewhere around DC. Our next scene is a train heist carried out by the bad guys. It's actually kind of sort of impressive. They set up a dynamite rig on the train tracks and are stealing these big fancy cannons that are like held right behind the locomotive on the train. So they hijack the train, detach the train cars, and then blow those up so that they can take the cannons from the back of this train. Pretty clever. Unfortunately, the government does find out that Quentin Turnbull did this. But yeah, they're hijacking some fancy guns. It's a pretty elaborate heist. They have two plants on the with the soldiers protecting the train. But yeah, we're introduced to Quentin Turnbull's sidekick, played by Michael Fassbender, who's a guy with tribal tattoos on his chin, which I don't know how accurate those are for a white guy in the 1870s to have. I don't think tattoos were popularized in the West until good bit later, particularly not tribal tattoos. Like, this technology exists. I'm just saying it's weird that this white guy has them. Because like the actual tribal people would have them, but I don't know what the history is on those, but it's just a bit weird that he has these. Or maybe he's just that far ahead of the curve. I don't know.
I feel
It
like
doesn't make a lot of
First
sense.
Nations people probably had some form of tattoos.
No, I think it's those tattoos are like not tribal as in North American First Nations. I think it's like Oceania, Maui, like Maori people and that sort of shit.
Yeah, but it's 1870s,
Yeah, exactly.
and
It's
also if that is the case, they definitely wouldn't be that type of tattoos either.
yeah, they're not typically over the bottom of the chin.
Well, no, these look like I'd arguably like professionally done.
I mean,
They
yeah,
look like real tattoos. They would have been tapped in even Maui, like Maui culture. They'd be tapped.
yeah, it's a bit weird.
I don't know what they call those uh, when they take ink and stone and just
Yeah, what the technique's called. Yeah,
tap
no,
it
I
into
don't
your
think any of
skin.
us have tattoos.
So
Do you have any? I don't.
no.
Yeah. So anyway, he's a bit weird, but he does a thing where he whistles songs, and that's part of his gimmick. No idea who this guy's. Does he have a? Hold on, I'm just gonna look up.
Who
Go ahead. I'm looking up. John. His
is
character.
he the Irishman in this movie?
Yeah, he's some sort of UK based
Okay,
person.
so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't do a very good accent.
Yeah, he's basing the character off like Malcolm McDowell's character in A Clockwork Orange, it says. Yeah, he's an original character for the movie. He's Irish. Yep. That's
Okay.
Yep. It says he's an Irishman. Bowler hat wearing tattooed psychopathic Irishman. Yeah, no idea what this guy's deal is.
Okay,
They
but
just kind
is
of like,
the actor
oh, is Michael Fassbender Irish?
Yeah, I don't think he's Irish.
Oh yeah, he's German Irish.
Okay. Well,
He's also a racing driver.
okay.
But yeah, he was born in
Well, I just insulted this Irishman's Irish accent, so
he was born in Germany, but he was evidently raised in Ireland.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, his father's German and his mother is Irish. So that's his deal. Yeah, he's an original character for the movie, as far as I can tell. Not that Jonah Hex has like an extensive rogues gallery. It's really just like Quinn Turnbull, and he's a this is a pretty like an adaptation of some stuff from Weird Western Tales, which was one of his storylines there. And I guess that those Apache guys he had a thing with. Yeah, they don't use a ton of characters from the comics. The Smith isn't in the movies. Megan Fox's characters from the comics. Lila Black, Tula Black is her real name. She's in the comics, but she's very different. Yeah, this is very much just a movie starring like the first antagonist they found, which to be fair, there's only like two Jonah Hex antagonists. He's mostly of an era where they do like a action, like a issue with like a incident of the week thing more than anything, which is fine, but it just doesn't. He doesn't have a big rogues gallery, because he shoots people. To be fair, same reason Punisher doesn't have a long rogues gallery. He shoots most of the guys he fights. But yeah, this gets the attention of Ulysses S. Grant, 18th president of the United States, played by Adrian Quinn, who decides that he needs Jonah Hex to handle this personally, as if Jonah Hex is like James Bond or something. Yeah, no, I don't know where that comes from. It's just a thing they decided should be a thing because it's comic booky. He also, in this scene with Grant, they also inform us that the Turnbull gang has broken into a armory in Virginia, which gives them evidence that Turnbull's going after this secret military weapon. But yeah, we get our next scene, which is another thing that was famous from the trailers, where this guy taunts Jonah Hex by saying, "Hey, what happened to your face?" And he shoots him and says, "I cut myself shaving. What happened to yours?" Because he shot him in the face, and that's funny. Which it is, to be fair. It's kind of funny.
Funny for her.
I liked it. I thought it was funny. Haha.
The guy's dead.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we meet we meet Megan Fox's character. I don't know why I was almost saying Mila Kunis. Different actress entirely. We meet Megan Fox's character, Lila Black, who's based on the comics character Tula Black. A notable difference from the comics, Tula Black has like several scars and is like missing her left eye, but she's one of Jonah Hex's chief love interests. But I guess they didn't want to put makeup on Megan Fox. They just decided it was the thing. Or she doesn't have any scars that are visible to us, despite us seeing like a good, reasonable portion of her body. Because this is very much like
Sorry, repeat that.
despite us, she doesn't have any noticeable scars, despite us seeing like a reasonable portion of her body.
Yeah.
Because she's eye candy in this movie. Yeah, I mean that's just what they were using Megan Fox for back in those days. Is Megan Fox still around? What has she done recently?
Television work.
Her
She's
most
got,
recent film
5
is
projects coming up.
Oh yeah, her most recent film is Night Teeth. They're making an Expendables 4.
What is Night Teeth about?
Let's find out.
It's a vampire thriller film.
2021 American vampire thriller directed by Adam Randall. It's going on Netflix. Oh, it's on Netflix actually. Mixed reviews. It doesn't have a lot of action apparently, and it's produced. Yeah, it's a vampire movie. Megan Fox is like 5th down the cast list on Wikipedia.
Yeah, but like, okay, so Alfie Allen, who played Theon Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. It's got Debbie Ryan, who was Disney star, child Disney star. Megan Fox. I don't know who Jorg Lundenberg Jr. is, but all I'm saying is it seems to have a decent cast behind it. I don't know where it's falling out, but
Yeah, I think it's mostly about the script. She hasn't done too much. Has she done like a iconic role where she like redeems her acting chops? Because she's not known as a great actor.
not that I've really seen. Like Transformers.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
in my opinion, she gets a lot of like over the top roles. Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Please never do that again.
yeah, that was a bad movie.
And I don't think she's ever really got the chance to redeem herself after that. Like maybe television shows.
Her last television show was she was in New Girl for 15 episodes in 2016. I don't know how long that show is, but her most recent television show is something she hosted, Legends of the Lost with Megan Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, she played Lois Lane in the DC Comics special, Robot Chicken DC Comics special. That's interesting. Oh, she does Megan Fox on. She does Lois Lane on DC Comic on Robot Chicken occasionally. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they could do something with her. I don't know. I haven't worked with her, so I don't know how
I think
capable she actually is. But
I think people in generally just use her for eye candy, and that's kind of hurt her ability to actually fully embrace acting, because people are just like, oh well, you're pretty, let's just make you that be your thing.
she's
So
also been in 4 Michael Bay movies, to be fair, which isn't like a good place to get like your acting chalks. Yeah,
notoriously really bad.
yeah,
And like she started out really young. I
yeah.
think when she was doing some of her earlier work like Transformers, I don't think she was that old when it started. So people are like sexualizing this very young 18
Yeah.
or maybe even younger.
No, she's 35 now, and Transformers is 2007, so she's in her 20s, I think. I mean, she's young, but not like super young. Like she had been acting for 6 years at that point. But yeah, she's 35 currently. Anyway, let's move on with the movie. Yeah, so that's the thing. She's Tula Fox is a prostitute in this prostitute who is hangs out with this one guy who's a bit of a tool, but eventually she meets with Jonah Hex, who is like a regular with her and is supposed to be like someone she is in love with. It's always weird when we do like these plots where like prostitute where the love interest is a prostitute, but like and like
Sorry,
yeah.
2003 Bad Boys 2, also directed by Megan Fox. She was 15 at the time.
No,
I
she's
don't think
born
that math adds up.
No, she was born in 86, so
How does
she
how
would have been
do they do math at all on
yeah.
internet?
So 4 in 1990, 14 in 2000. Hold on, maybe. I forget the 20. Yeah, I suppose she's been acting for 24 years at this point. So like 14 at 2000. So she would have been 21 when she did Transformers. I hate math. This was so much easier when we weren't dealing with like 2 centuries when we do math. It's so fucking weird. So I guess she was pretty young actually. I take back my statement. I guess 21's
Yeah.
pretty young. I haven't seen Bad Boys, so I don't know what she's like in that. But anyway, she's playing a prostitute in this, who's in love with Jonah Hex, which is always like a weird little thing when like the love interest is a prostitute who the hero uses, or like uses seems like a dirty word in this context. What's the word I'm looking for? Is a client of who the protagonist is a client of. I think that's the best language I can think of right now. So that's always a weird thing. I don't know what the I don't know. I don't have words to put that into. It just feels a little weird. I mean, sometimes prostitutes are married. I suppose that's technically fine. This is I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where else to go with this. But in the after they've are cuddling in bed for a little bit, the Union Army busts into the hotel room and point guns at Jonah Hex. So that's interesting. He ends up being like, "Oh yeah, I'm not interested in doing any work for you," because they're trying to recruit him. And he says, and the guy Will Arnett's playing this character, Lieutenant Grass, and he's just like Quinton Turnbull, and Jonah Hex points a gun at him at the very mention of his name for some reason. It doesn't make a lot of sense really when you think about it. But Lieutenant Grass informs him that Turnbull had done the train robbery, and then take him to a army camp where we get to show off some telegraph lines, which are become useful later in the movie. And Jonah Hex gets to show off his power where he can talk to dead people because goes to interrogate a goon who died in either the train or the armory robbery. Probably the armory robbery. Armory robbery. That rhymes. I like it. So yeah, he goes to talk to the dead guy, which he does by making hand-to-hand contact with the corpse, which brings the corpse back to normal for a little bit. It literally just becomes the person as if he were alive, and he does some interrogation. This is a very painful process for the dead person. He gets his information briefly, and they're introduced to hellhounds, which are looking for the dead guy, I guess. And those are a thing that Jonah Hex knows about. His powers are weird. I don't know how they work precisely. But Jonah Hex gets informed that Turnbull is in South Carolina, or that the goon was recruited by a guy in South Carolina who worked for the Confederate Army back in the day. So Jonah Hex goes after that guy. In the meantime, Turnbull has stolen another piece of his puzzle, which is a glowing orange Dragon Ball, or several Dragon Balls, which means he can grant a wish and wish that the Confederacy had won the Civil War. It's not much sillier than that, actually. It's essentially
that would be a very, very different plot of Dragon Ball if that was the case.
Yeah.
Wait,
Goku,
no. No, give it, like, Can we talk about this? Because, like,
Go ahead.
wasn't there just, like, the Red Ribbon Army in Dragon Ball, like, the original Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
And then I think it was, foreshadowed a little bit in some of the, like, Dragon Ball Z, uh, after that, where, like, Dr. Juro created.
The Red Ribbon Army was an army in the original part of Dragon Ball where they fought Goku for a little bit, and Goku beat them all up before they could use the Dragon Balls to make the leader of the Ribbon Army taller.
Yeah, that's, like, notoriously less threatening, than, I guess, the Confederate Army, whatever they're trying to do in
Yeah.
this.
Which
But
is I gotta like that's a weird thing. Like the general of the Red Ribbon Army was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use this to make everyone to make me taller. And then the other
mhm.
guy, like his lieutenant, kills him, and is like, yeah, I'm gonna use the Dragon Balls for something useful. Like in universe, the last guy who found the Dragon Balls made himself king, or I guess I guess in this point in the story, second to last guy.
Well,
But
that probably didn't age well. I guess, like, nobody really even talks about, sorry, I just Googled search, like, Red Ribbon Army goals in Dragon Ball Z, and it came up with, a picture. I'm gonna send it over to you, and I want you to tell me why this would probably be troublesome.
hasn't shown up yet. Buzzed on my other device. Should be soon. I've actually read all of.
God damn it, you're in.
It's just that my phone's being weird. It came on my tablet. I could go get it. Or hold on. I have Facebook open in my other tab. There it is.
How many
Damn it! It
devices
didn't
do you
load.
need to run?
Well, I have like a separate Chrome browser open with just like the YouTube channel, so I can just like upload videos occasionally. Okay, it's loading. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I okay, I think that guy. He's showing me. I think I forget. I don't know. I think that guy might literally be called General Black. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but, like,
Yeah,
was it, like, an animation style? Like, was it a I don't think it was, like, a Akira Toriyama's, like, art design thing.
no, that's from the manga. Uh, like he's like that in the manga. Granted, it's not in color,
Mhm.
and he's like otherwise an okay character as far as like a guy who's in charge of a like evil military is. But yeah, I think that I'm gonna look this up because I think that guy's just called General Black or Staff Officer Black. Yeah,
Assistant Black.
yeah, no, his name is Staff Officer Black. Or that's his anime name. He's also called Assistant Black, Agent Black, Officer Black, Commander Black. Which I think is what I read it like a translation. So it's yeah, no. Oh, he became Commander Black was the thing because he killed Commander Red. Because the Red Ribbon Army, all the guys were named after colors, so they figured, oh yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do this thing where we name the black guy Black. That's probably fun. That's probably an okay thing to do. Japan, no, they don't know how to. They just don't know how to do that sometimes. But yeah, he was showing me a picture of yeah.
Yes, but I would argue that, like, it's a lot less offensive in the manga than
Yeah,
what they did with the animation.
yeah, no, it's not as bad because the colors aren't. Oh yeah, even in even in the colored version of the manga, it's like the lips aren't like nearly that bright shade of red. He's actually a bit lighter skinned than like the colored
Yeah.
version of the manga. But yeah, I had almost forgotten about it because I also read the manga, so it was in black and white. So
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so this guy, Lieutenant Gra. Yeah, they go. Jonah goes to meet with this guy who recruited the dead guy, who is called the Colonel. I forget what his rest of his name is. They're in this sort of circus fight ring thing with this guy who who spits acid as the snake guy. Jonah isn't able to get any information from him. You'd think that this would result in Jonah getting thrown into the circus pit to fight the snake guy, but actually no. Jonah like doesn't get any information out of him, and is just told, "Hey, go talk to Jed Jeb, Turnbull's dead son, and he says, that's not a good idea. And then he throws the colonel into the pit, who then gets eaten by the snake man guy, who's not terribly prominent. But this was something they spent money on, but wasn't very important to the plot. So yeah, he goes to dig up Jeb at the Gettysburg Cemetery, which doesn't make a lot of sense because that means that like Jonah Hex's whole thing took place during the like biggest battle of the Civil War, so which is a little bit silly, actually. They don't just bury everyone at Gettysburg. I don't think that was just a military cemetery where like a lot of people died. Gettysburg was like a big decisive battle in the Civil War for those of you American Civil War for those of you who don't know. So it's kind of like just if like some random soldier was buried at Normandy, it'd be a little bit weird. Who probably wouldn't have died anywhere near Normandy. Anyway, Jonah digs up Jeb. Jeb punches Jonah in the face a couple times, so Jonah has to tie Jeb up so that they can have a conversation. And they eventually have a civil conversation where Jeb talks about how he doesn't see the difference between Jonah and Quentin. I'd say the difference between Jonah and Quentin is that Jonah kills like a couple people at a time. Quentin wants to like kill thousands of people and like inflict drastic societal change based on his will upon the world. So I'd say that's the difference, but I wouldn't expect a Confederate to understand that. Now would I? But yeah, essentially he goes Jonah went to talk to Jeb because dead people can keep track of the people they knew in life. So Jeb just tells him that Quentin's at this place called Forced Resurrection, which is a fictional fort, which Jonah goes to. Yeah, and they find Jonah finds a bunch of plans for the weapon that Quentin Turnbull is constructing, which is essentially a giant fancy cannon, which fires this thing, a bunch of fancy explosive cannonballs that are triggered by the Dragon Balls, which we talked about earlier, and will essentially destroy like entire cities. And it's called the Nation Killer weapon. It's sort of a nuke, but it's not. It doesn't have like a. It's not. It's magic. Seems like more than anything. It doesn't have like a technological explanation for it, even though it was invented by Eli Whitney. Invented it. Eli Whitney is the guy who invented the cotton gin, and apparently can invent giant nation killer weapons. I don't know. Let's look up Eli Whitney, see if he's at all.
Well, I mean, like according to reports, Tesla had a death ray. So how far off is
Tesla helped like discover electricity. I don't know that those are exactly comparable areas of study.
Also, I'd like to point out that this movie came out a year after the 2009 Dragon Ball movie. So comparing these like these explosive devices to Dragon Balls isn't.
Oh, I guess he did make He worked in the construction of muskets.
Yeah.
In 1825. So yeah, before even like the invention of like the Gatling gun, I'm pretty sure.
I'm like 95% certain that these things are just the same things.
What
like the Dragon Balls from Dragon Ball Z Evolution are pretty much just the same thing in this movie. It's like their prop department had to go in and just like copy them.
These are a little actually, yeah, you're right. Only they're a little bigger than Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball, but they're not that much bigger when I really think about it. Yeah, I suppose they're only a little bigger, just barely. Yeah, they could be the same thing for all I know. I don't know what you can use the Dragon Balls for. You could just use one as a bomb, I suppose.
That's good at all, because I'm pretty sure the Dragon Balls are indestructible, so I don't think you could use this as a bomb.
Are they?
I mean, arguably, yeah. Like the only way to destroy the Dragon Balls is to like kill a god.
Well, to
which
kill Piccolo,
arguably in
yeah.
like the Dragon Ball universe, it's like, well, not even Piccolo. It's like Kami. It's like his
Yeah,
old
Piccolo and
like
Kami are the
old
same
man
guy.
version. Yes,
This is, but okay,
up
so
until
I think they are
up until
indestructible because
they are. Yeah,
Krillin does try to destroy one in Dragon Ball Z. I mean, still, those are the Namekian Dragon Balls, so they're a bit different. But I don't think you can destroy them. Actually, I figured like if they were able to, they could have done that a couple
I'm
times.
like 100% certain that they're
Oh wait, no, he didn't get
indestructible.
away with trying to
Because
destroy it
like,
because Girder, the little alien guy, froze time and was able to steal it out of Krillin's hand before he could try to destroy it. So it was on the table. So I don't know that's ever been specified whether or not they're destructible. It's just that no one would bother just like full on destroying one. I don't know what happens in GT for sure though.
honestly, I don't fully understand the logic behind that, because like considering half the series is about people obtaining the Dragon Balls.
Yeah,
Um,
they were trying to destroy
also,
them because Frieza was prevent Frieza from getting it, and this was like pretty early on in the Frieza arc before they were like able to challenge Frieza, so they wanted to like make sure that Frieza couldn't become immortal.
yeah, but like notoriously, you think that like just destroying the Dragon Balls are like, honestly, theoretically, the Dragon Balls don't revive after like, so my theory right now is in Dragon Ball, like the most canon way to stop people from destroying Earth to get to the Dragon Balls is to just use the Dragon Balls.
I mean, there's some abilities of
Because
that, but
but okay, so in Dragon Ball, a dragon's like a wish can only be made once a year, right?
yeah, I think they lower it to like once every 3 months later on, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just fucking stupid. So, like in
Well, they
theory,
had to do it in
like
order to like
Goku's
bring
like,
people back faster because people were dying too fast. Cody, they needed to bring back the
yeah,
people
but they were
faster.
dying because people wanted to use the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I can't.
space aliens were coming to the Earth to use the fucking Dragon Balls, and they're like, well, we need to like stop them from using the Dragon Balls. So theoretically, if you just went on January 1st and there's like 7 of the fucking Z Warriors, just all go gather one Dragon Ball, it'd take them like half a day, make a wish for the good of all of fucking Earth at that point in time. Like, hey, I wish that there was an infinite amount of food and capitalism didn't fucking exist. And then, like, it'd just be fine. Like, nobody would try and invade Earth because, like, what are they gonna do? Wait there for a full entire year to get their fucking wish?
Yeah, they could do that, to be fair, because like they just don't, because they have like the Dragon Radar, which allowed them to track down the Dragon Balls. So they could do a wish every year. They just choose not to.
Like, what?
Granted, I don't think that Goku has like the wherewithal to like want to, and like uh Bulma is a billionaire, so she wouldn't like share that technology because if people have food, she wouldn't be able to make money off it. Bulma is essentially bourgeoisie that's like holding back the working class. So really, we should seize the means of production, i.e., the Dragon Radar, so that we can use the Dragon Balls to create infinite resources to save people. This has been my TED Talk. I know way too much about Dragon Ball lore.
I apparently not enough if you don't understand that, like, that was a valid option throughout the whole entire series, and they're just like, yeah, no, let's just not do that.
Well, to be fair, Goku's a
Like
dipshit.
Goku, Goku,
In universe is
yeah,
a
but like
dipshit.
Goku in the Cell universe finally was like, you know what? People are just coming to fight me, but really, people like for like the last 3 fucking I guess 2 arcs, people just wanted to become immortal, and to stop people from coming immortal, just use the Dragon Balls more.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, they could just use them the second they become active again.
And like, okay, I'm going down like a really deep rabbit hole here, but like at one point in time, the fucking pig in the series along wish for panties out of
Okay,
anything.
to be fair, that was just the first thing that popped into his head when he did that. He did that to avoid. He didn't like like search for the Dragon Balls for the sole purpose of finding panties. He just wished for the first thing that came to his head to prevent what was the guy's name? Not Garlic Jr. That was a different guy. I forget who the villain was for the first arc of Dragon Ball, but it was to prevent him from becoming immortal.
Oh, it's Pilaf.
Pilaf. Yeah, they did it to prevent Pilaf from going immortal because Pilaf had already summoned the dragons. So Oolong was just like, "Oh yeah, summon panties," and yeah, then the day was saved. Sort of. Goku turned into a giant.
That was the first thing that popped into his head.
Yeah, I mean, because Oolong's a little creepy pervert guy.
In all fairness, I probably shouldn't have been reading those books at the age that I was probably reading those books at. But like, come on, like that's so dumb. And I mean, also hilarious at the same time at the age of, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old.
And also, like, early Dragon Ball is more of like a comedy adventure more than like a full-on action series at that point.
Yeah,
it's gone through a fair bit of
arguably
evolution.
Better than Dragon Ball, in my opinion.
Dragon Ball Z?
Maybe
I don't know.
It's just like a weird amount of nostalgia, but like Dragon Ball, looking back on it, super cool.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Z.
Nice sometimes. Okay. Here's a question. While we're on the subject, do you remember the Canadian Dragon Ball theme for like Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z? Did you ever see that?
The Canadian Dragon Ball theme.
Yeah.
Not the Canadian Dragon Ball Z theme?
Yeah, those are different things. But the original Dragon Ball. No, yeah, the original Dragon Ball.
No.
Yeah, look it up after this. It's kind of cute. It's silly. It's like Dragon Ball, the ultimate battle, the ultimate journey and struggle for truth. Dragon Ball. It's so silly. It's just a thing. Like, I guess some French guy came up with, and we got it, is my understanding.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Anyway,
okay.
Back to the movie. So yeah, Jonah Hex finds out what Quentin Turnbull's going to do, more or less. Oh, he's also met with his gunsmith after this and got crossbow guns that shoot dynamite, which he will proceed to use on Turnbull's guys, and then just ditch as soon as it runs out of ammo. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you should do. Just
the semantics of this.
Yeah, ditch the the expensive crossbow that the expensive one of two of a kind crossbows as soon as they run out of ammo. Yeah, I'm sure that's good for your bottom line, Jonah.
No wonder this guy is like notoriously not a good bounty hunter.
So yeah, he fights some guys. He eventually Jonah Hex eventually gets shot after he runs out of dynamite bolts, and has to run off and by jumping onto his horse, and just says, "Take me home," which apparently means take me to the crow, which I guess he has that kind of relationship with them, I suppose. I guess he might, for all I know. He wasn't living with the crow at the beginning of the movie, which is a bit weird, I guess. I mean, there might be reasons for that, but because I don't know what the politics of this are in the United States in 1870s. There are reasons for if this was like the 1900s in Canada, this would be maybe a way for the child to avoid going to residential school, maybe. But I don't know why they seem to be living separately from the crow at the beginning of the movie.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, Jonah Hex's wife in this. Jonah Hex's wife in this is presumably a crow woman. Anyway,
so he's married, but also still banging a prostitute.
No, that was like at the beginning of the movie. His wife and child died, so he's a widower.
I'm pretty sure they were white.
Were they? I thought maybe. Maybe I'm just thinking because they might have been. I don't know. I feel like he had like a bunch of like First Nation stuff lying about his house, and that's why I got that impression.
Yeah, but like honestly, it was like a 2-second scene of the house burning down.
Oh, true. That could have been easy to miss. and it's not
Yeah.
terribly important to the. Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it any more credence to the fact whether or not
It certainly maybe understand like explain why he has a relationship with the crow. Maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Even then, that's a bit weird because like then again, I don't know. He could have went north after the war and like had been and wandered into like that sort of territory, and that's how he met them. I don't know. In the comics, this is a good deal more complicated, but
Also, I have like so much more questions. Okay, so he can resurrect people.
no, no, he can like briefly when he's touching them, sort of like let the
Mhm.
like talk to them as if they were
But
alive.
he's got like a wife and kids.
Yeah, but he can't like bring
Okay.
them back to life. Like he could like touch them and like talk to them for a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
but I mean that might be like some form of
Wait, he could
catharticism.
touch them and talk to them for a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Like he could like just be having chats with his wife and kid occasionally. Could he not? Is there like any? It's never specified in
yes,
the movie that he can only
but
attack. He can. It's
but
never specified that he can only talk to bad people.
but like hear me out on this. At one point in time, he's talking to Jeb. So
Yeah,
Jeb died in the beginning of the movie, before Jonah Hex became a bounty hunter. So theoretically, in theory, he could walk around with like a bag of his wife's bones and his child's bones and be able to talk to both of them.
true.
And he doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
this seems to be like just a giant loophole on.
Oh yeah, probably. Again, this wasn't in the comics. This is the failure of the scriptwriters.
Yes,
This wasn't an issue because it wasn't the thing.
justifiably so.
Probably because they didn't come up with it at all. But yeah. Oh yeah, and Jeb is played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Apparently, forgot to mention that. But yeah. So they go off, and the crow resurrect him again. I suppose because that's a thing they can do. I suppose. Yeah, he kind of limps back to them. In the meantime, Quentin Turnbull kidnaps Tula. It's been revealed, like, yeah, she gets kidnapped. She kills the guy who had been a regular for her at the beginning of the movie because he sold out Jonah and wants to like intimidate her into running away with him. So she kills him. So yeah, the bad guys kidnap Tula. Jonah Hex, after being resurrected, just hauls ass to like screaming Turnbull as he comes back to life and goes to charges over to a telegraph station and sends a telegraph to the president of the United States, which it actually might be that simple. I don't know. I don't know how telegraph lines work really. Maybe this is the only telegraph line. It only goes to the president. I don't know. But yeah, he informs Grant about the plan, President Grant about the plan of Turnbull's, and President Grant responds with a single. What's the word for it? Harbor Patrol? Baywatch? That's not it. Baywatch is a different thing.
Uh,
Coast Guard. They spend like a single Coast Guard ship to
yeah.
go confront.
Okay.
Oh, this is what I forgot to mention. The nation killer weapon is mounted on top of a ironclad, which is a type of.
I don't know what that is.
It's a 19th century warship. It's one of the first like steam powered warships, and it's like it's one of the first steel ships essentially. This is like if this, okay, here's to context this. This is like if Osama bin Laden showed up with a like American style destroyer, essentially, or like an aircraft carrier. Like that's the similar amount of shock you should be seeing at this sort of statement. So much military funding goes into getting an ironclad, especially just made in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is actually like an expensive piece of military hardware, like equipped with like an experimental military piece of hardware. So yeah, that's a thing that, and yeah, this, and they've decided to confront, the US government has decided to confront this ironclad with a single little patrol boat, which Quentin proceeds to just annihilate. But thankfully, Jonah Hex has made his way onto the boat. I forget how he does that. I guess swims? Does he get a canoe? I don't know. It's the dead of night. He could have snuck on, I suppose, but it's in the middle of the ocean. It's in the middle of the what's it called? The Potomac River.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty tall order, just swimming onto a boat in the middle of a river. It's actually quite hard, especially a big boat like this. On the boat, Jonah confronts Fassbender's character, who they have a fight with. Jonah sets his hand on fire to punch Fassbender in the face several times. Jonah shoves his face into a turbine, spinning the rotor of the boat, which doesn't destroy his whole face. And then Jonah brings him back to life, lets him turn to ash, because that's a thing that happens if you keep a dead person back for too long, as they turn to ash, and then he punches him in the face to get him to shatter into ash. And at this point, Jonah gets captured, and he's chained up next to Tula, and him and Quentin have their like evil villain conversation, where Quentin accuses Jonah of being incapable of sacrifice, essentially because he was unwilling to commit acts of terror to get what he wants, which I guess could be poignant in a better movie, or at least interesting.
Yeah, when Turnbull was like, "Hey, let's burn down some hospitals," and Jonah Hex was like, "No, this this speech isn't really."
Like, I buy it as a terrorist speech, but it might also hit a little harder if it might actually be more effective if Jonah was actually a racist, and like he would just like the accusation was that like, Jonah, you don't have the strength in your convictions to like make real sacrifices to get your goals, which is probably a bad thing, to make your hero a racist just so one line can hit a little harder. This could be better in a different movie, I think. So yeah, Tula manages to pick the locks that are holding them back after a while, and they get away. Tula helps him. It helps Jonah gunfight through the ironclad, and they get Jonah and Quentin fall into the mechanisms. They fight a bit. Jonah's about to lose when Tula is also having a fight with one of Quentin's men, where she reaches for one of Jonah's tomahawks that got dropped, and accidentally pushes it over the edge, landing in near Jonah's hand, which he uses to kill Turnbull by throwing him into the mechanisms of the ironclads of the Nation Killer Weapons loading mechanism. Not sure how that works. This loading mechanism has way more is way more complicated than it probably needs to be. This is the 1870s. They're still breech loading cannons, so that's a little weird. I don't think they have proper artillery yet with like a breech loading. I suppose muzzle loading is what I meant. It's not a breech. It's apparently a breech loading cannon. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, in the meantime, before the boat ends up blowing up because Jonah stuck Quentin's head in the gears, Jonah wanders up, saves Tula from the guy who she was near death, and then apparently he had time to like walk up a flight of stairs before she died. The timelines in this are weird. A lot of weird, actually, because Jonah's able to just like basically fast travel across the continent of America. Because, like I said earlier, after the attack after the incident at Fort Resurrection, which I don't know where that is, but it's nowhere near North Dakota where the Crow live, or Wyoming, whatever you want to say.
Apparently, it's really close to Independence Bridge.
The fort they used to portray Fort Independence is in New Orleans, or is in Louisiana. So
That's all I'm saying is like I'm just rather imagining like filmmakers sitting down to go, okay, we need to name some of these places. Let's name it Independence Bridge, or theoretically, about 250 years ago, there was like I don't know a group of army soldiers who's like, well, we created this bridge, we should name it. And then they're like, well, we're fighting for independence, let's call it Independence Bridge. And I don't know which one's stupider to me. Like, who names bridges?
I don't know, guys in the government. It's, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so Tula and Jonah jump off the boat and then receive a reward from the President of the United States, which includes a full pardon and an offer to become America's sheriff, which Jonah refuses because this movie is insisting that Jonah Hex be cheesy, I guess.
Yeah, but like, okay, but what does the government mean by the America's sheriff?
I don't know.
Like, that just sounds like the keys to a city. It just
True.
seems like an honorary title at that point in time. Or maybe Ulysses S. Grant in this movie was just like, okay, well, we only need one sheriff because apparently Jonah Hex can do it.
Yeah, Jonah Hex just solves all America's problems.
I mean, arguably, the comic books at that point in time would be like, that's pretty much what they did in the comic books, from my understanding, right?
Yeah, he fought dinosaurs at one point. I think that's a thing.
Like, I'm not saying Jonah Hex can't just wander around America just fucking solving everybody's problem like they're like some form of Scooby-Doo gang, but like besides that, I don't know what America's sheriff means. So
Who would be his deputy? Like he'd need to find like a deputy, I guess. I don't know. Who else is in DC? Like, I don't know. Do you come up with some sort of Western Justice League? Get Scalp Hunter in there. That's the other big DC cowboy title was Scalp Hunter. I don't know too much about him. I won't speak on that. I'll just assume that's not as great. It doesn't like sell to a modern audience. I'm just gonna assume. Yeah, and then the movie ends with Jonah Hex giving a speech about saying, "Oh, the man who looks for revenge must dig two graves, one for himself, because he'll die on the inside." And he just says, "Well, mine'll have to wait." That's a movie. That's a thing. I don't know. Yeah, this movie isn't that good, but that's the end of the movie.
1977 is when Scalp Hunter came out. Mhm.
What is Scalp Hunter? I don't even know.
But also there was a Scalp Hunter in the Marvel comic books.
I believe it. Oh yeah, because yeah, I actually know who this guy is. The Marvel one anyway. The DC one's just like appears to be a First Nations guy. Yeah, he was the guy that took over in Weird Western Tales after Jonah Hex got his own book. Oh yeah, that's just a racial slur on the cover of the book that I'm seeing. It's the first one that comes up. The issue I'm seeing, issue number 60 of Weird Western Tales, is just like Scalp Hunter getting accused of some miscegenation. Yeah, this is fun. This is great. This is totally PC. Uh, and Marvel's Scalp Hunter is just a mutant guy. He's in the I think he was in the Marauders.
Uh-huh. He also has techno morphing powers, which allow him to construct various mechanical devices at superhuman rate.
Closing thoughts.
I want to know what like the executive like director at DC Comics was like.
Yeah, I don't. This doesn't. Yeah.
Like, this thing's clearly died out a really long time ago, and somebody's like,
Yeah.
maybe like somewhere in the 2010s, people will enjoy this. Let's release it. Like, greenlight this. Let's get a team of people to write it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, it just strikes me. This just strikes me as something they wanted to do. It's just like a. Yeah, no, there's not like not as far as I can tell. There's not like a fancy explanation for why this got made. Brolin admits to like not liking the film. He went back and forth on it during filming, but I think ultimately he doesn't care for it. Yeah, this doesn't strike me as like a great idea, and like it's not like the best idea for like a 2010. This was like this is a pretty. They have this idea that we need to make silly westerns, and they just can't. They can't do it in the way that like 70s westerns were silly, because 70s westerns are silly because they're like racist and dumb. and they just refused to just make like a straight action movie for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think Magnificent Seven was just a straight action movie, but
Yeah, I don't know the correct way to do that. Like maybe
yeah, I don't know what you do with it either.
yeah, there's just no good way to do it because like I mean
Maybe if I read like 100 issues of Jonah Hex. I haven't read enough Jonah Hex to like know what like the proper film is for it. I mean, you probably do the
Mhm.
Quentin Turnbull storyline, to be fair, because that's pretty iconic in his run. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like he's got a cool appearance. He's like really iconic to look at. But yeah, it just doesn't have like a good plot idea for him.
Yeah, but like arguably you can take that and put it in anything, right?
True.
Like
True.
his whole stick is he's a cool Western gunslinger. Like the Dark Tower was notorious for being like a gunslinger set in a fantasy setting. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm 95% certain that that just cuts away from all the like old historically like racism and bullshit that they needed to make this film work to make it a timepiece. But like honestly, my thought process here is like DC has this huge giant expansive list of characters and I mean arguably 11
yeah, they could have been making something else.
$47 million to throw at this budget. That's like 2 flopped Green Lantern movies. I don't know how much it cost him to make Green Lantern. I'm
I think
just
Green
assuming
Lantern
that it
costs a
was
lot more, actually.
well, I mean, if they cut out half the fucking shitty ass CGI, they probably would have been able to make a fucking decent Green Lantern movie for $11 million or $50 million, I guess, because like that's what they spent on the budget of this movie. They spent 47 million. Um, that's just the.
Well, what do you give the movie, Cody?
I'm probably not gonna give it much higher than a like 2, maybe.
I'm
Okay, I guess it cost him $200 million to direct the Green Lantern movie, but I mean, at least that one made back $219 million at the box office because of name recognition, I guess.
I'm giving it a really low 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch above a 5 at this point.
Yeah, there's just not a lot to
I
it.
don't even know if I'd touch above a 3.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 because it's the bare minimum I can give a movie that I did enjoy a part of it. Like I didn't walk out disappointed like I did when I rewatched Gangster Squad in season 1, which is mainly where I'm like coming at this from. I'm able not to take this movie as seriously because it's very
I know this is
silly.
gonna like really sound controversial because like the people really enjoyed the end game. They went in. I went in and I watched Endgame. At that point in time, I got all the way through Endgame, and I'm like, okay, it was adequate, right?
Yeah.
There's no way I'm walking into this movie. I'm walking out of watching this movie thinking that it's adequate. It's way below that, and I mean, like, I didn't watch it when it comes out. I've never read any of the comic books. I'll probably never read any of the comic books, and I'll probably stop thinking about Jonah Hex as soon as we're done recording this podcast because
I people want Jonah Hex to be cooler than he like is in practice. I think like he
mhm.
needs like he doesn't have. I don't know that he has like an iconic storyline that like really brings him up. He's just got like that image of like the guy with like the exposed like the open cheek wound, and like that's really iconic and it sticks in people's heads. But yeah, just they don't. He just doesn't have like the potential there right now. I don't. I feel like they need to do like they'd probably need to do like a good reboot on Jonah Hex yet to like get something.
Mhm.
I feel like you can make anything cool.
Or as I was saying earlier, just never touch the Western genre again.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not completely opposed to that. As like Ghost Rider. I was talking about Caretaker earlier in the TV series Ghost Rider, which um, Nicolas Cage played in. But Sam Elliott came in, and he was this old timey Western Ghost Rider who like passed the reins of or the monocle of the Ghost Rider down to the new Ghost Rider, which was super cool. But the way that he was doing that, he was riding this flaming dark horse, and he was a cowboy, and he also gave him a shotgun. I think I'm pretty sure he gave Ghost
Yeah,
Rider his shotgun that he had, which was one of his iconic weapons within the series. Like that's something that I would pay to have a western of, because
true.
it has enough backstory that's outside of like original westerns that you could try and tie in with the Ghost Rider anthology. And I
Yeah,
feel like they tried to do that here in Jonah Hex, but they focused too heavily on like the Civil War side story and didn't pay enough attention to Jonah
yeah.
Hex as a character to really do him any form of justice.
Yeah, and they gloss over it too, because like I feel like the Civil War is like a big topic that you can't like gloss over, but they're trying to, because they if they make like a definitive statement against the Civil War, like a couple of like 50 million people from the South will be like, yeah, why are you making fun of our heritage, which sucks? Yeah.
Hmm.
There's nothing else good I could be worshiping about about the Southern United States. Absolutely no other positive trait that I could possibly glom onto. I need to like be a big fan of Robert E. Lee. That's what I need as like a human being, is to like be on the side of these slavers and not feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I don't know. Yeah, it's not much. So next month we're doing Christmas episodes. We're going to be doing classic Canadian horror film Black Christmas, the original, because they've made 2 remakes of that movie.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what we're doing in December. See you guys then. Follow us on Twitter. Give it a subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, yeah, and Instagram. Check out the other episodes. That's going to go. Playing us out. Playing us out. Playing us out. Stopping.